Nope. No sweep for the Dodgers in the 2024 World Series. You can put the brooms away. Go back to neglecting ever actually cleaning your house with them. My name's Ryan Bershinger. Just me tonight. Let's dive into Game 4 of the World Series. This is the Sick Podcast, the Dodgers Zone. Let's get into it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. The Dodgers Zone.
Strike three. Dodgers have won it all in 2020.
Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter at 10:17 in the evening of June the 29th, 1990. If you have a sombrero, throw it to the sky.
The sickest LA Dodgers podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yes, so the Dodgers, of course, took a commanding 3-0 series lead in the World Series, and we go into Game 4, and this was the best case scenario for the Dodgers. We all know this, given the fact that the Dodgers really only have 3 starting pitchers this postseason. Of course, Game 4 was going to be a quote-unquote bullpen game, but I still put quotes around that because looking at this game, again, you can kind of call it a Landon Knack start, if you will, because Landon Knack ended up throwing 4 innings in this game and was actually rather effective, which was really nice to see given the fact that he struggled against the Mets, which kind of blacklisted him from ever actually being used again until we got to a point where we needed him. And let's start there. This is kind of the main takeaway that I have coming out of Game 4. In fact, here, the overall main takeaway is this is fine. I expected the Dodgers to at least lose one game. I thought, quite frankly, they were going to lose Game 3, and they didn't. So to be up 3-0 in the series, like, of course, you want to win every game. It's the World Series. I get it. Obviously, it would have been great to be able to celebrate tonight. It would have been awesome to look back on a sweep of the New York Yankees in the World Series. Man, that would have been incredible. But we'll take the win no matter how we can get it. And I'm still confident that the Dodgers are going to get it. I know a lot of people, and I've seen this take many times, looking at the way the last inning went, where the Yankees piled on 5 runs in that inning. It was 6-4 coming into the inning. 5 runs in the inning. And Brent Honeywell was asked to get 6 outs in a 3-out inning. There were multiple reasons why he got extended for so long there. Of course, Gavin Lux kind of botches a throw to home plate, throws it to the wrong side of the plate. You could have not only prevented a run from scoring, but also gotten an out, helped Honeywell get out of that inning. Instead, he throws 50 pitches, which I applaud Brent. Okay, this has been his role the entire postseason, is to eat as many innings as he can, to be put in, quite frankly, the shittiest situations nonstop throughout the postseason. And he's been a workhorse in that regard. Has he been perfect? No, but were we expecting Brent Honeywell to be a key piece of this bullpen ever at any point throughout the season? No. So I will gladly take his work. I take his efforts. But yes, the sentiment that a lot of people are sharing is that because the Yankees were able to get going offensively, especially in that final inning, suddenly they've got momentum. I understand. Yes, that is a very apparent reaction to have. Like, oh, this hitting's contagious. Now this feeling, hey, they've gotten off the schneid a bit. Like they're able to show that they can actually compete. They're the New York Yankees in 2024. They had the best record in the American League. And the fact that it took them until Game 4 to get anything going offensively is pretty embarrassing on their part. And I think they knew that. And so, yeah, they did get going offensively today by scoring 11 runs in a game that featured Ben Kasparias, Daniel Hudson, Landon Knack, and Brent Honeywell, and no one else. That is the back end of the Dodgers pitching staff. Sure, they put up 11 runs. It actually ended up worse than it could have been, because if Daniel Hudson gets out of that inning, of course, he had bases loaded, 2 outs to Anthony Volpe and throws just an awful pitch. If he throws a better pitch in that scenario, again, there's a lot of if, ands, and buts. If Nestor Cortez throws a better pitch to Freddie Freeman, game 1 goes differently. Obviously, I get that. But just bear in mind, Daniel Hudson kind of imploded in 1 inning, and then Landon Knack came in and had 4 innings of 1-run ball, which is very impressive at this stage. And he kept them close enough where the Dodgers were able to fight back a little bit and to keep it close-ish. Now, some people maybe were questioning, okay, why don't you start going to the leverage arms? Well, this is kind of the point of this game. I understand you can look at it and think the Dodgers punted it, but what were they going to do in this game pitching-wise? Because you're not going to put Jack Flaherty on short rest when you do not need to. Obviously, Yoshi and Walker are out of the question, of course. You have to, especially in the middle game of what could be a 3-game stretch here, and it now is, you've got to get length from somebody like Landon Knack or Ben Casparius or Brent Honeywell. That combination of those 3 guys had to eat up a bulk of the innings tonight, and they did. They got all but 1 inning. And apparently, as Dave had talked about after the game, it was kind of scripted that Daniel Hudson would get that 1 inning, which maybe that's the one question you could have about this game, but it's hard to really question a pitching decision in the 3rd inning of a game when they're already up 3-0. They ended up getting the bulk work from Landon Knack that they needed. And his work tonight is hopefully going to translate into a championship win. The work of the pitchers tonight, and Brent Honeywell, I believe, or no, it was Landon Knack who said it after the game, was tonight was about giving the dogs a rest. So now tomorrow you've set it up where Jack Flaherty's going to get the start. Blake Trinan had thrown a never game coming into this point. He needed a day off. I believe he didn't pitch in game 3 but he started getting warm at the end there. But he pitched so much in the first 2. He needed another day. Michael Kopech definitely needed a day. Anthony Bonda definitely needed a day. Alex Vesia threw like 6 pitches total, but he did still have to go through the standard warm-up process for 2 games. He needs a day. Ryan Brazier needed a day. They all got it. And so now they're set up in a point where, yes, they're facing Garrett Cole in game 5. But they were able to kind of get to Cole. I know that obviously Garrett Cole left that game with a lead. But they got a couple runs off of him. And the important thing is they saw him a lot in game 1. And secondly, the Yankees were way more aggressive with their bullpen usage because their backs are against the wall. They have to. So tonight we saw work from Clay Holmes, from Tim Hill, from Mark Leiter Jr., from Luke Weaver. Those are the most significant guys in their pen. And so hopefully this is another circumstance in which by seeing these guys in this game, that translates to success in a future game, ideally the next one. And of course, with the day off, with a travel day after game 5, if they are to lose, you can still be very aggressive with the bullpen in game 5 because they're going to have that rest day. So I think the plan today, pitching wise, was totally fine because, again, you needed to give rest to guys if you're not going to win this game. Of course, yes, ideally you win the game and you don't have to worry about rest and all these other things. But if you don't, you at least set yourself up in a way where it's going to be easier to win that one game you need in 5 or 6 or 7. I don't want to even talk about game 7. Let's not get to that point where that's in question. Let's have them travel back to LA with the World Series trophy. That would be great. But now, yes, the Dodgers go into a situation where they're facing Garrett Cole in game 5. And as mentioned before, the Yankees seem to now have the momentum because the bats got going. But I'm not going to look at this team and think that both Austin Wells and Anthony Volpe are going to homer on a nightly basis. Nothing against those guys, but that feels a little fluky. Yes, I understand. They haven't gotten really any production, of course, from Aaron Judge, who's been incredibly silent. He got a hit tonight, but I don't think that suddenly wakes him up. Outside of that, nobody, Volpe and Wells were the only guys with multiple hits. Their choice to move Jazz Chisholm up in the order didn't really seem to make a huge difference. Jazz got a hit. Giancarlo didn't. The Dodgers have put themselves in a situation where all three of their starters are going to be able to pitch with adequate rest if they're all three called upon. And the bullpen has been reset for a game and a potential game after an off day. So the Dodgers are still in a very good situation pitching-wise, I feel, even on a night in which they gave up 11 runs. And here's the big point I want to make about the momentum. Let's think about the fact that the Padres in the division series seem to have the momentum offensively. They were able to take game 2 against the Dodgers and hit pretty well. And then in game 3, they had that weird inning. And then after that, their bats went completely dead. That game 2 was the sort of the momentum changer in that series, right? When we were looking at it at the time, Dodgers take game 1, but then the Padres take game 2 in a way that's incredibly emotional, that the crowd was getting involved in a negative way, that players were getting involved with the crowd in a negative way. You had these weird off-field storylines then with, I guess, on-field in a way because of Machado throwing the ball towards the Dodgers. Like, you had all these things, and the momentum seemed to be in the Padres' favor going into an off day. And it felt like, oh, geez, the Padres are going to take this now because they've taken that momentum away from the Dodgers. And in game 3, it certainly felt that way because of that mess of an inning that ended up giving the Padres that win. But as I mentioned, and as we all know, after they did their scoring in game 3, the Padres didn't score again until they were eliminated from the postseason. What happened to the momentum? It disappeared. It can change on a dime, just like that. Still don't believe it? Let's look at the championship series then. Game 1, the Dodgers come out firing 9-0, and they put on a show and completely shut down the Mets. But then in game 2, you have this bullpen game where Landon Knack gets hit hard, where Brent Honeywell throws a bunch of innings, where they had to rest their main guys in the pen. And then you're going into an off day where the Mets bats started going, and everyone's like, uh-oh, the Mets were so hot coming into the postseason. The second you let them get hot, it's going to be dangerous. They take that off day, travel to New York, and then what happens? The Dodgers dominate them in games 3 and 4. But then, game 5 comes around, and the Mets take the momentum right back. The Momo Mets. It's a lot of M's. The Mets take the momentum right back. And then they go into the travel day, and now it's again, hey, don't let the Mets get hot. And the Dodgers just put their foot down and take the series. All I'm saying is momentum is a fickle beast. It is one that can switch constantly. And I understand that the thing that's not going in the Dodgers' favor right now is that offensively, they're actually not doing that great. Outside of Freddie Freeman, who is playing the best level of his life while still recovering from a high ankle sprain or something like that, it's incredible. What Freddie is doing at the plate for this team is so valuable. And it's truly carrying the offense because he's responsible for half of their runs in New York. And I believe half the runs in the series now. But outside of Freddie, the Dodgers are hitting 196, I believe is the number I saw earlier. Everybody except for Freddie combined is hitting 196 in this World Series. So the Dodgers are very fortunate, actually, to be in a 3-1 scenario because, again, Freddie saved us in game one. This series could easily be 2-2. Granted, I think pitching decisions would have been different tonight if it was a 2-1 series coming into this game. But let's just use hypotheticals here and think that because of Freddie, it's like we are in best case scenario because of the way Freddie is playing. Because without Freddie's performance, we're at best 2-2 right now. Because offensively, outside of him, not a lot of guys are getting it going. Mookie had a double tonight ahead of Freddie's home run, and that was huge. But then after that, wasn't able to get a hit. Shohei, I don't want to harp on Shohei not producing at the plate because, again, I think he gets a pass for the rest of this series because of his shoulder, genuinely. I know it's not ideal to throw a guy out there in the lineup every day who is actually nursing his shoulder and making sure it doesn't fall out while he's on the base paths. But he's Shohei Ohtani, and if he says I can go, then you put him in the lineup and hope that he's able to get on base. He got a hit tonight. This is the first hit since his injury because yesterday he had 2 walks. And then beyond him, Will Smith hit a home run tonight, which is great to see. And hopefully that can get him going for a game. But we saw a lot of uncompetitive at-bats from guys. Max Muncy really struggled tonight, over 3 strikeouts. I believe he drew a walk, so he was able to get on still. Yeah, he did. But yeah, up and down the lineup, we saw a lot of really rough at-bats, which is unfortunate because Luis Gil is a very talented pitcher, but he also, much like the Mets starting pitchers, lives outside of the strike zone. He walks guys a lot, and that felt like a kind of lethal combination coming into this game. The Dodgers drew 3 walks. Tommy Edman had 2 of them. Max had the other one. So, but because of what we've seen from this team offensively throughout the postseason, I fully believe in them, in their ability to get going offensively. I know we as Dodger fans have seen Dodger offenses just disappear in postseasons. But this team is different because guys at any point in the order can step up at any given moment. So I still feel comfortable with the offense bouncing back, but I think that truly the biggest reason why they lost tonight was actually the offense. And I know that sounds weird to say on a night in which the pitching staff gave up 11 runs, but if you look at the point where they were able to draw it closer at 6-5, they had opportunities still. They had opportunities, and throughout the series, they've had plenty of opportunities with runners in scoring position, and for the most part have not been able to cash in. So you just need guys to be able to come up in moments, string together a few hits here and there. They're 1 win away. And that's the big thing here. They're 1 win away. Again, people want to use the word momentum for the Yankees right now. Ask yourself this. Would you rather be a Dodger fan or a Yankee fan at this given moment? Do you want your team up 3-1 or down 1-3? The Dodgers are up 3-1. I don't care about how many runs they were able to put up in game 4. They need to win 1 game. That is a much better position to be in. Now, as I said earlier, don't feel great about the possibility of winning game 5 against Garrett Cole in New York. But the potential of the fact that they've seen him already, I understand. On the flip side, the Yankees have gotten a good look at Jack Flaherty already. Jack pitched very well against them. Hopefully, the fact that Jack didn't go super deep in game 1 maybe pays some dividends here. Keep in mind, he was pulled in, I think, 74 pitches around there. But yes, Garrett Cole was pulled at 88. and I understand that this is still post multiple TJ Garrett Cole, but he can still easily give you 110, 120 pitches at max velocity still. He's a machine like that. But maybe because Flaherty didn't go as deep in game one, maybe there's a little bit more oomph left on that arm. We just need him for one start here. And I fully believe in the guy to be able to put it all on the line. And if he doesn't, then we again have to delay the potential celebration. I don't want to be optimistic or pessimistic. I'm trying to be very level-headed. Because on one hand, they're still up 3-1. They're still one win away from winning the World Series, and that feels incredibly attainable, especially given the way they were able to reset the staff tonight. And let's say that they don't win Game 5. Another positive is you give Shohei another day to rest his shoulder. Maybe he's able to kind of recover a bit. I don't know. I think that shoulder's probably going to be messed up until the series is over. But I'm so hopeful. I still think there's no the right field seats are like 80 feet away. There's no way Shohei Ohtani leaves New York without a home run. Like, come on, we got to see one in Game 5. I believe he can do it. He can do it with one arm. He had a broken bat fly ball to the warning track tonight. Like, Ohtani is still there. He's still there. He just is wincing every time he comes out. But I believe. On the pessimistic side, it's not impossible for a team to come back down 3-1. 3-0 feels like, oh, the series over. 3-1, the Dodgers have come back from 3-1. 2020, they came back on the Braves 3-1. And that was wild, too, because there were no off days in that series. But you figure, at worst, there's 3 games left. The Dodgers just have to win one of them. They've got Jack Flaherty, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Walker Buehler lined up for these 3 games with a fully rested bullpen. And if they can't win one of those 3, then maybe the Yankees deserve it. But we all know the Dodgers deserve this World Series win, and they only need to get one more win to do that. I want to close this up by talking about the weird incident that happened early on in Game 4, in which Mookie Betts goes up for a foul ball in the right field seats. He catches it, and then a fan proceeds to try to rip his arm off. I understand that we had a similar, and I use quotes around similar situation with with Mookie's home run that was robbed by Jurickson Profar in the Padres series. And Monty and I, when we recorded, we both said, hey, like we gave it to those fans because the fans all backed off and let Profar make the catch. And we said, hey, listen, once the ball crosses the barrier of the wall, that's your ball. You can go get it. What I did not say was, if the ball is caught by the fielder already, try to pull it out of his glove. That's completely different. If those fans want to actually interfere with that ball and claim, hey, we're behind the wall here, we're good, then you can put your arms up and make contact with the ball before Mookie does. That's fine. Again, that's what Steve Bartman did. He didn't mean to. It's kind of an accident because he didn't realize he was hurting his team in that moment. But if the Yankees fans are truly trying to help their team, you can put your arms up and try to hit the ball once it crosses the wall. But once it's in Mookie's glove, there's nothing you could do about that. You can't reach into his glove and grab it out, and you certainly can't grab his hand and yank on it while 50,000 people, along with 12 million people on TV, are watching you trying to forcibly remove the glove of a professional baseball player. And when it's been in there for a couple seconds already, these guys are idiots. It's stupid. Genuinely stupid people. And I know that because they had to spend $10,000 or something like that for those seats. That is a front row seat. What do you think is going to happen when you start trying to pull the glove off of a fielder where he has already caught the ball? You're gone. They got to watch 4 outs. And now they probably can never come to Yankee Stadium again. You just spent $20,000 to get ejected and to look like a buffoon on national TV. Even John Sterling was like, these guys are idiots. So that's what you get. Sorry. Now John Sterling even thinks you're an idiot. Your own guys. Stupid. But again, there are ways where if you're trying to help your team, you can stick your arm up and try to go for that ball. But as long as you stay on the on the wall side, if the player has to come into you, that's their prerogative. Because that at that point, technically, that is your field of play. But if the player was to catch it before your hand, then the ball's his. And if you try to knock it out, at that point, you're called for interference. So there you go. Well done. But unfortunately, there was one Yankee fan that actually outdid those idiots. And it was during tonight's Stand Up to Cancer moment, where somebody shouted during the moment of silence across the stadium, shouted, "You suck, Freddie," because Yankee fans are so worked up over the fact that Freddie Freeman can't stop hitting homers against them that they will yell at him during a tribute to people who have lost their lives to cancer. And I'm sure that this person didn't know this, but Freddie Freeman lost his mom to melanoma when he was 12 years old. So as big of idiots as those guys were, who tried to pull Mookie's arm off, they're still not half the idiot as that motherfucker. So I hope that fucking guy gets to watch his team lose the World Series. And I hope to God he gets to watch them lose in Yankee Stadium. I know a lot of nice Yankee fans, though. I'm not saying that all Yankee fans are bad. I know actually plenty of great Yankee fans. I have a groomsman who's a Yankees fan. Every fan base has their idiots, you know. We know. We know. Dodger fans are very much, unfortunately, not immune from that at all. But that, I mean, that's another level. That's another level. That's Anyway, all right. Let's just wrap this up. Hopefully, after Game 5, we get to celebrate a World Series win, huh? And if not, then hey, the positive is we get a chance to celebrate a World Series win in Los Angeles. And then if they lose Game 6, we're all going to collectively pee our pants for a good 24 hours, and then we'll see. We'll see. It's not over until you win one more game. It's 10 down. It's 1 to go. Just 1. So let's get that one. This is the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone. My name is Ryan Bershinger. Domo arigato, everyone. Thank you very much.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, the Dodger Zone, on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.